This is David with the Liberty Defensive Firearms Training Institute. What I want to talk about today is I've got some stuff here on the table, and I'm going to go over some items of training equipment to aid you in the safe training of your firearm at home. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get started with this. The first item I have here is a Rings Blue Gun. The Rings Blue Gun is real great for sight training, where you push the gun out and pick up the front sight and all that, and it's good for manual lit arms training and things of that nature. Now, this gun's real good for that because it's one solid piece of plastic and it's impossible to discharge it. So don't get complacent knowing that this is a plastic gun in the fact that you're training with a piece of plastic, because the moment you get complacent, what's going to happen is you're going to break one of the 4 rules of firearm safety. There's a mosquito in my eye. And you're going to put your real gun in your holster and you're going to discharge it unintentionally. So keep that in mind while you're practicing with this. And I picked up a what's it called? It's an audible reinforcement tool. I don't know what exactly the wording is, but it's when you finish training, you tell yourself out loud, I am finished practicing. I now have a live firearm again. This is basically concludes your training session, and you have mentally conditioned yourself to know that I don't have the toy or the fake or the artificial or whatever term you want to attach to this practice dummy gun anymore, and I have a live firearm again. It's like a mental trigger, or just a reminder to remember that you don't need to do that one last draw stroke and blow a hole through your refrigerator. So as I said before, these are great for draw practice and for sight acquisition. If you get the kind that's got the sight cut out notch in the back, I don't know if you can see that one has it. Some of them don't. So there's several companies that make these. I think ASP makes them, and of course Rings, that's who made this one. But that's a great tool. Alright. The next thing we have is a real Glock 17 with a fake barrel in it. Now, what this allows me to do is this allows me to do a lot more things than the Rings does. I use this almost exclusively. I only use this one when I'm working with someone else, or maybe doing force-on-force training, where you're practicing like retention holds, or you're practicing keeping your pistol in your holster while someone tries to overtake you. That's what this one's for mainly now for me. I don't use this one at all for sight alignments, because I have custom sights on my guns. I have XS big dots. Let's see if you can see them. And so I've set up my carry gun and my practice gun identically. So it's even more crucial for me to remember that I don't have the practice and I have the live gun when I get finished training, because they feel exactly the same. This gun has a fake barrel made by, I want to say it's Ldfti's maker of this barrel. I ain't real sure exactly, but I think these are Ldfti barrels. It's normally about a ½ inch longer. I trimmed it off at about the length that the factory Glock barrel protrudes from the slide, so that it'll holster more naturally, so I can do holster practice and all of that. And I've also purchased a weighted Rings magazine that is filled with lead weight, so that you can simulate the weight of the gun. So when I come out and present this firearm, it feels like my 17 is loaded. Alright, so those are real good for that. This one will typically go in my belt, and then this empty one will go in the gun. What that does is that allows me to practice from slide lock to a mag change, come back and charge it, come back out. So you can practice dry gun mag changes with these tools. So pick up the mag, I just throw them out. There we go. But I have an empty magazine for that. That way it gives me the slide lock for one, and number two, the time and the actual magazine coming out of the gun is there as well. So I use a live magazine that could be filled with ammunition for that training. But it's important to not use a real gun in your training. okay, because all it takes is one mistake, and you've shot around through a wall into some area, and you broke the fourth rule of know your target and what lies beyond it. Once you break that rule, you potentially have killed somebody or maimed them. You know, it gets ugly really, really fast. So, as long as you're observing the 4 rules, you'll need this gun. All right, because this way, this barrel cannot physically chamber a cartridge the way it's manufactured. It's actually cast such a way that bullets won't even go up, so that it can't get one up there that the striker can hit, and then so it can't blow up either. These are great training aids. If you're going to practice and you don't have a rings gun, get the fake barrel. They're only like $10 or $12. They're pretty cheap, and it'll allow you to practice with. You can put it in your carry gun, so you can use the exact same gun and get realistic practice with it. So these are really great for mag change drills. So I'm not using a live magazine full of ammo, you know, and they're not real expensive either. I don't remember, but, you know, it's pretty cheap training. Last thing I want to go over is this: a real magazine with dummy cartridges in it. These cartridges are the exact physical footprint and shape of a 9mm Luger cartridge. The problem with this is that if your gun will chamber these rounds, it'll chamber real rounds, okay? And if it'll chamber real rounds, you run the risk of sending a round through a wall. The only time we ever use these rounds is on the live range, okay? That way there's no accidentally putting bullets in your gun. It's just a good, safe practice. Don't use dummy rounds in training in your home. Take that live barrel out and put one of those fake barrels in, because it won't chamber these rounds either. And that way you can practice with the gun and know that beyond a shadow of a doubt you're not going to send bullets into somewhere you don't want to. This can get you into that kind of trouble if you ain't very, very careful with it. So that's all I've got to say about training aids. There's a lot of other things out there that you can practice with, but with the things I've went over right here, you can get lots of really safe, really good practice in the home. So with that said, be safe and keep your powder dry, and we'll see you soon.